The sustainable development of the moorlands, with a territorial approach and changes in the social and political relationship of the peasant population, from the recovery and rational use of agroecosystems of the basins, Saza and Leonera in the municipalities of Gamisa and Montgo in the department of Boyaca, is what SwissEd and its project Living Mountains as a bed of permanence in harmony with the territory. SwissEd is a Swiss development cooperation organization in Colombia, and has been working in Colombia for more than 35 years. We are working and fundamentally assisting the population in vulnerable conditions in rural areas with indigenous, Afro-Colombian and peasant populations. We are currently working in Boyaca in the municipalities of Mongua and Gamisa, and we are working with the population located in the area of the high Andean forest ecosystems, sub-Paramo and Paramo, that is, between 2,600 meters above sea level to 3,800 meters above sea level. In the environmental aspect, we work on the restoration of strategic ecosystems, which is related to restoring native vegetation that is in danger of extinction, generating living barriers and generating different actions to protect water sources. In this way the farmers' organizations identify their water sources and isolate and protect them, improving water flow, improving water quality and the availability of water for the family. One of the activities that have been generated with the Living Mountains project is the creation of biological corridors, which consist of linking these patches of forest that we see in the territory through biological corridors that consist of planting native plants and planting forage plants, so that through this corridor birds and wildlife can circulate. But also there is more food on farms and there is a protection of water sources, which is what is mainly sought. My name is Elsa Maria Castroneda. I belong to the Huerto Alto Andino Association, which was created 6 years ago, and now we are working on the Living Mountains project. In the environmental area, which is what I am going to explain to you, we are managing the river basins and preservation. There is the Saja River Basin, which is born up on the beaches and goes down all this corridor and comes to join with the one that comes from Leonera, which is born upwards and also comes through this support. To join with the one down here, we are working with all those that are around and that have tributaries, implementing the biological corridors up to the mountains of the Moors. We have worked designing tanks, telling people to please not to step in the water, to plant trees. In fact, most of us are already taking water from the pipes and hoses for the cattle, because our strong point here is cattle raising. The loss of vegetation cover, erosion and soil erosion in large areas of strategic importance for water catchment and regulation, and the availability and access to drinking water for human consumption and irrigation, are factors that threaten the permanence of these communities and become the cornerstone of the work of Swiss Eyes and the Living Mountains Project. To achieve the recovery of the moors and ensure the permanence of these communities in the territory. With the Montañas Vivas project, Gamisa and Mongwa joined forces, Gamisa with 3 associations, Mongwa with 2, and Mongwa has been with both for a longer period of time. The majority of our associations are women, and we are a program of about 300 people who are associated with us. With the rural community aqueducts, we have a very interesting work in collaboration and support with the Swiss Embassy in Colombia, through the SDC, with a project called ASR Saba, Agua Saneamiento Integral Rural, with 11 aqueducts of Mongwa and Gamisa in a process, fundamentally of organizational strengthening and strengthening in the technical, administrative and environmental aspects, so that these community organizations, which have to do directly with the use and management of water, work in a much more efficient and effective way. All this is the first use of water. My name is Edgar Humberto Cristancho Rodriguez. I am the president of the Community Action Board of the Potosi Village, in the municipality of Gamisa, Department of Boyaca. We are here at the source of the aqueduct of the village, which became a nature reserve, with the support of SwissEd and its program of Living Mountains. We had a problem with the owners of the land and the community because they did not respect the site of the aquifer, the wetland where the aqueduct is collected. Then, with the support of SwissEd and its Living Mountains program, we managed to negotiate with the owners, where we managed to get them to let us isolate the land so that the animals could not enter the site of the aquifer, the wetland where the aqueduct is collected. Then, with the support of SwissEd and its Living Mountains program, we managed to negotiate with the owners, where we managed to get them to let us isolate the land so that the animals could not enter. We were able to eliminate the eucalyptus trees that are close to where the water comes from. We negotiated for live fences, and there is an artesian tank that was the change that was made, and they will allow us to protect the land where the aqueduct comes from. With this associative work that has been done with SwissEd and the community, we have achieved that the owners gave us permission to make this wire fence isolating, while the native plants that were planted as living fences are already big, and if we can protect them while they grow well. With the SwissEd and Montañas Vivas program and the Society of the Village of Potosi, SwissEd helped us with 8 tanks for 8 producers of achuva. With this and achuva cultivation, we are changing the way of productivity to the land, which has allowed us to give better water to crops. But even so, the hard summer touches us, and there is the crop had its downturn by the frosts that we have had these days. I want to share through the Living Mountains project to look at the protection that we have given to this beautiful nature, that as we show you the part of nature where the water source comes from, how we have been protecting it. This farm has 2 springs in spite of the summer. The volume of water drops a little, but it is left for the consumption of the farm and to share it with the neighbor. Thanks to the Montañas Vivas project, we have been learning to take care of nature. The program works with a gender perspective, i.e., it generates actions. The main objective of the project is to develop concrete actions so that men and women, from their condition, roles and position, can develop their work in their community organizations, in their families and in their communities, highlighting above all the empowerment of women in their territory, organizational empowerment, political empowerment, and thus have an impact on territorial management. Thanks to the fact that we, as parents, have failed to educate ourselves to form our children, to reach them with examples of life, not with examples of domestic violence, we need to transform our lives from our family nucleus and from our personal lives.